Today, we're experiencing some minor selling off, but is this the big volatility that is going to start to come in? Because we do see some big sell signals across a lot of different charts. We're going to show a lot of those off today so that you're aware of this as we get into some technical analysis, mainly looking at the SPY and the Qs, and we're going to go over some of those stocks with those sell signals in this video. But it's so many sell signals that you have to ask the question, is everything going to be irrational? And then are these signals going to fail? Or are we going to see that daily pullback down to a potential monthly expected move towards 593.45? And that's something we're going to get into early on in this video. So let's just shut up and get right into it. Now, I know that a lot of people don't like to watch the whole thing, so I'm going to do you a favor and put it at the beginning of the video and switch over to volatility. Volatility, this is a signal that we were talking about. We've been paying attention to it. We've been paying attention to the fact that volatility has potential for a higher low or divergence at this area, and this is something that we are paying heavy attention to as we try to take back the 5-day moving average. And now we are above that, meaning we are going into a what? Positive trend, and you see how this really got close to the center line, and this isn't even the worst part about today's price action. If you've been paying attention to some of my videos over the weekend or maybe even last week, we need a daily confirmation, and as it stands, you do have a daily confirmation. It'll tell you that volatility is only up 1.77% on the right side of your screen, but you will notice that we actually are up 8.74%, but not 10%. So no guarantee for some kind of update tomorrow, but we're going to treat this very, very carefully at this time because we keep seeing irrational things as the daily is scaling up dramatically and high up on this MACD, but giving you that divergence on the MACD, not the RSI at the same time for the daily time frame. So what's overall going on here? Well, we were suggesting to look at this 2-hour and say, hey, yeah, there's no divergence for the SPY, but there is for the Qs, there is for the SPX 500. When you include the extra hours, you do see the weakness for the SPY, for the SPX, but you're seeing them in a lot of other areas, not necessarily IWM or DIA, which I think is very interesting. So those will have to be taken into consideration. But many stocks in the tech sector that we're going to show you do have those potential signals. We'll get into that after we break down the SPY. For your daily expected moves for tomorrow, if you still need weekly expected moves, these are 68% zones that I calculate using the options data. And so 68% of the time you will land in that. Today, we landed outside of our daily expected move, which is something that I actually explained in a video. How when these do get really tight, normally that means you're going from expansion to contraction and you're about to see a surprising move. And that actually did take place just a tiny bit today. It wasn't anything dramatic. We are still holding on that 5-day as of right now, but you did see the 2-hour able to turn down. If the 2-hour is able to curl up here, hey, we can continue to do irrational things. But for tomorrow, we need to pay attention to those daily expected moves of 624.32 to the upside, and we have 617.04 to the downside. We're going to pop into volatility again in a moment, but for now, let's just think about the SPY here and say, hey, well, what would really like to happen from here? Well, let's see if we set up a lower high, maybe using the daily expected move. The daily expected move, as far as price action goes, not necessarily technical analysis, but as far as price action goes, is in the perfect area for rejection. We will pay attention to if that fails, but as of right now, most of the signals are suggesting that you can get some kind of upside move that then is able to fail, and maybe we end up down by that weekly expected move in a moment. So we'll be paying attention to that. This means that as we look at, say, little 5-minute or 15-minute charts, you're going to see constant little divergences down here on your RSI that really held as well as they could for a 5-minute chart. And you're starting to see that we're taking back the 5 and we could get that reaction up. So this is very interesting, and this would be overall how the market would like to maybe reject, right? I'm open to this just happening at any time because we have the daily confirmation on the VIX. But for now, if this is going to behave like a market that really wants to be tricky, then we would get a bounce up to that daily expected move, and then we see that thing reject off, maybe going into Wednesday. We usually see one big move in the morning, one big move in the late afternoon towards the close. If we're going to continue to break down from here, that makes total sense. But if the 2-hour is going to break down to that weekly expected move and just curl up into positive territory, we always have the opportunity to go higher. So make sure you join us for the live shows so that you can pay attention to how this thing is reacting with an opinion that potentially you do trust, right? Hopefully you do trust my opinion at this point. Hopefully you are joining us for those live shows. The Qs, the reason that this is overall adding up to a lot of weakness, and this is why I wanted to mainly be pointing out the reversal signals here. These are things that we mentioned over the weekend. We were going to pay attention if they confirm today. They did confirm today. Okay, you'd see the Qs confirming this, and a lot of the time, right? Most of the time when this does happen, especially at these extreme elevated levels, after 3 pushes, 3 squeezes higher, really, you will see some sort of daily pullback. So if we're going to pull back, we would look at that monthly expected move. But here is your 68% zone for the week. If you're going to see surprising things, then that 2 hour is going to need to whip back up. But for now, you do have these levels for your weekly expected moves. And your dailies for tomorrow are 555.84 for the Qs to the upside, and you have 548.22 to the downside. The daily chart has not confirmed down just yet, so we don't have all of the confirmations we would like, but this is a reversal signal in some way. How does this reversal signal get unconfirmed? Well, one, the 2 hour has to turn up, and before that happens, the 30-minute has to turn up. So if this is going to rotate back to the upside and we're going to see more irrational behavior here, maybe going into the 9th, well, then you're going to see the 30-minute curl up and be able to break through potentially that daily expected move to raise that floor a little bit. I would be watching out for divergences on the 30-minute. I would be watching out for a lower high as well because your daily expected move is in such a good spot. In here is where those sellers came in, right? So we want to look for any kind of rejection towards that daily expected move, and we will be live in the morning to discuss these things further. If you wanted my idea of how this would overall break down, we would actually see the 2 hour be able to cut through that weekly expected move, bounce to the upside, and then we'll actually see that roll into next week, causing that left head and right shoulder to form. And that really looks like a very probable situation to happen right now. And we're just waiting to see if it ends up failing. If it ends up failing, we'll have to change because on this channel, we do trade like water. We do not believe, or at least I don't, and I hope that I can convince you the same, that you can't really be 100% with any kind of trade. You're more on the probability side and saying, hey, I can't have the exact thing. I don't know the exact answer. I can't be absolute, but I want to be at least have that 1% guy on my shoulder that's going, hey, what if something else happens here? What if I am wrong? It is perfectly fine to take into consideration how you would be wrong and actually create a plan for your trade, but also create a plan for if your trade is going wrong. The way that this 2 hour trade does go wrong for the Qs right now, calling some kind of top, would be if the 30-minute does curl up, you have a chance to scale up right here. If the 30-minute is able to roll up, it would be, hey, management of the trade. If that can curl back down, you would be right back in. And that's overall how I like to do things. We teach this in the course down in the description. That potentially will do a little something, kind of sale maybe for my birthday, because August, August. We like August. It's a great birthday month, right? It's mine. So the interesting thing for me is you see the 2 hour divergence. This is very likely to curl down daily charts and give you some kind of daily pullback, some kind of daily we even suggested looking at some kind of retracement that could be even more aggressive. But IWM is not necessarily in the same boat. We don't necessarily see those type of signals from IWM that we would. We did get to the point that we really wanted to, that 222.66. Very, very nice. We even peaked our head above it. That's very, very good. So IWM could pull back in order to actually just head higher. Because you are so positive on this MACD. And the DIA is in a very similar situation where it can see an aggressive pullback, but still be able to turn up into positive territory for the 2 hour. If it ends up flopping too far, we will be pointing out lower highs. So we will keep an eye on this for you. As we go into some individual stocks, Apple looking a little bit interesting because this is one that looks like it might want to tap into that zone to actually go higher, which is just very interesting that Apple is shaping up and IWM and DIA and all these are shaping up to like, hey, we do have some that look like they could continue the move when volatility is overall confirming good things to actually see volatility come back in. And the scarier thing about this is this daily will confirm here, and that does have triple divergence on your MACD. You have triple divergence on your RSI, and this, as of right now, is officially confirmed. So as of right now, me, myself, as a trader, I am treating this like volatility will come back into the market with a high probable chance. I don't mess around with triple divergences, and I definitely don't mess around with a 2 hour reversal signal, considering that the last few big pops in volatility were caused or actually, what was previous to them, what actually built up to them, was a 2-hour divergence at the low, a 2-hour divergence at the low, and all of these made higher lows as well. But right now you have this kind of even low that could be considered double bottom or a higher low if you wanted to call it that. I just really want to point out the fact that we have confirmed these things, but it doesn't mean they can't unconfirm. If the 30-minute is showing something interesting for volatility, this is something that I was really looking at today, but I didn't know if this was necessarily the best thing to point out. But it means we could get some kind of bounce into the morning tomorrow where we need to reach down and go into that potentially 1683, go test that 5-day before we're able to curl up. If we are able to extremely break down, we can start to reject down even further. So these are the type of things that I'm paying attention to for volatility. You do have 30-minute divergence here on the MACD, on the RSI at the same time, meaning that we could see a bounce tomorrow, but is that just going to be a retest to fall back down? And that's something we're going to watch together in the morning. Tesla is a very interesting one as of right now because that actually does shape up 30-minute divergence, and the 2 hours almost showing that as well. So is Tesla about to see another tag of 325? That is the question here. As you guys know, that we have assumed that we are just going to keep ping-ponging back and forth between these levels, and we see that we are ping-ponging, right? If you've heard me say ping-ponging way back here, how I was like, yeah, we can start ping-ponging between these areas. Now it's happening, so it's very, very nice to see that because it means our analysis is overall pretty good. But overall, are we just kind of contracting here? Are we just contracting in order to eventually break one of these levels in a certain direction? And that's something that I would really be paying attention to if I was trading Tesla. I'm not necessarily trading it at this point, but I will let you know because you watched to this point in the video that Tesla is at a weekly expected move, meaning this level right here says we have a 68% chance to close above that by the end of the week. If you start to break those levels early on in the week, you can go back above them with reversal signals. If you wipe out reversal signals down here, though, you can see something a little bit more aggressive. But right now, I think the more probable situation here would be Tesla is going to turn up on a 2-hour, and then we have to see if this is able to break through this consolidation. Now I'm going to show you a few stocks that are showing some interesting things, right? This is the 2-hour signal for Amazon that is overall showing 2-hour divergence, very tight here, but it is there on your MACD and RSI, and it has not confirmed yet. When it does, though, we can see this daily turn down, and you do have daily divergence as well. This means for Amazon actually would be leaning towards something like 203 or all the way down to potentially 190 before it's able to figure its stuff out if these things do happen. So we're going to watch it throughout. We always pay attention to how we can be wrong, but I would heavily be paying attention to Amazon if I was looking for something that would pull back for some kind of move to the upside. It looks like this move needs to digest at this point, and it looks like we may need to reach down and find some of those buyers with these type of signals, but with a grain of salt here because that 2-hour signal has not confirmed. We'll check again in the morning. NVIDIA is way, way, way up there. No divergence on the RSI, but you do have this flatness on the MACD. Now, this still leans towards a daily pullback down towards 133, in my opinion. Why am I talking about a daily pullback? Because we do have 2-hour divergence for NVIDIA as well. And this 2-hour divergence you are rejecting, but is it a good confirmation? So rejection divergence, I really like to pay attention to the bars. I really like to pay attention to my 9-day or my 9 on whatever time frame that divergence is on. And you'll notice that we're still holding on to that 9 as of right now. So this technically, to me, in my type of trading, does not necessarily mean it has confirmed just yet. So we might have to see the open tomorrow for that. If you look at AMD, it just continues to break down, and something that is very likely here is a lower high at this point. We can see that AMD on the 30-minute is trying to shape up some 30-minute divergence. So it does look like we have some signals out there that suggest, hey, we could see a bounce tomorrow, and our job is to see, is that going to be a sustained bounce, or is that some kind of, trap at this point to reject and head in the downward direction? So just keep your eye on these type of things. But Meta is way up there, and it's down below the 5. It's trying to go back into positive territory, but the 2-hour is leaning. So how would Meta overall head to the upside? The 2-hour needs to confirm up into positive territory, or else you are at risk of going down to that 700. That is not the monthly expected move. If you want updated monthly expected move for all these stocks besides the SPY and the Qs, well, then you're going to have to join Patreon. It costs $7. You can go get it right now. It is great information, and we give breakdown videos every single week We try to do a breakdown video. We try to do a weekly prep video so you're kind of prepared for the week ahead. 4th of July kind of made it wonky, but I promise you the next one's going to be a great one. If we go look at stocks like Microsoft, you're starting to see the formations of double tops. Now, this is interesting because you need good confirmation, or else Microsoft could scale up for a moment here and then set up that actual divergence point and not necessarily show you an exact double top, but show you the divergence. So I would really be watching out for that. The 30-minute could show you a little hint here. If the 30-minute is able to peek its head above here for a moment and then fall and then lose these type of levels, we could be in for some problems here for Microsoft. Google is overall looking like it might want to go up one more time, right? We'll see how things bounce in the morning, but I just wanted to show you a bunch of stocks so you could see that a lot of the big stocks like Amazon and Nvidia are showing major reversal signals, while Apple, Tesla, and a few others are saying, hey, we could maybe bounce tomorrow. So maybe we're able to leak this out for a couple more days. Maybe we violate these things and end up turning to the upside. And that's why we have a plan for our trade and a plan for if the trade goes wrong. Now, I had to manage the trade for a moment, but if that 30-minute can curl up into positive territory, well, then that would be a good thing. And you're probably going, why the heck are you trying to take a play on AMC? This is a weird stock to try to take a play on. Well, because you have major 2-hour divergence that is confirmed as of right now. And this is the type of signal that likes to curl up daily charts. But it doesn't mean that I'm being all floppy and trying to just like guess if it's going to go up. I am still treating this like a regular trade where we manage the thing, and then if it curls up, maybe the timing is better, because as of right now, this is turned down in negative territory, meaning the momentum is still pointing that way. I want to see it shift back up and take back the 5-day, so just be aware of that. This is a signal down here that does like to curl up daily charts, and I find it very interesting. But GME, if you're really looking at this, this is actually, at this point, if you really make this low over here, this would be a very likely situation to pan out. So we will be watching for that. Maybe we watch out for daily divergence or something, but I'm going to leave this drawn up because GME does not look as good as AMC at this point, just so you are aware. There are some other stocks that I could show you out there. I mean, Palantir, SoFi is in a risky spot, but still squeezing. So if you're in it, you're happy. Palantir is trying to get another move to the upside. You see the 2-hour able to curl up and just kind of dragging itself out to go to the upside. And we would still be looking for rejection as that 2-hour is negative. But when you go and look at certain things over here like AVGO, and then we'll go look at gold, you do see another thing happening where, again, it's almost like another double top signal is showing here. So what is going to take place, and something that I would just consider as a trader out there, is volatility is showing major reversal signals. So why am I going to sit there and try to make long plays with my style of thinking? I know that we might be different people. I know you might day trade. I don't day trade. I like to take 2-week to 2-month plays. And so for this type of signal to show here, this would be almost silly and a complete opposite of what I would do or what I would look for AVGO to see a big move to the upside. If anything, this is saying, hey, if we confirm this, the daily is going to curl down. The problem with the daily curling down is because if I'm really zoomed in like this, well, let me zoom out, because if I zoom out for a second, you start to see the divergence on the daily time frame on the MACD. You see that divergence on the RSI at the same time. So you do have a bunch of reversal signals out there, and JP Morgan isn't safe either. This is how JP Morgan would like to break down, in my opinion. You do have 2-hour divergence all across this, and it has confirmed. So you do have reversal signals that have confirmed to the downside. You have sell signals that have confirmed, a lot of them to the downside. And many of the stocks that say, hey, I'm creating a 30-minute divergence that can bounce, they haven't confirmed those yet, and you'll want to see those in the morning. So JP Morgan, another stock that is suggesting, hey, we might be reaching up towards a top this week. We might even have that top right now, as we do have confirmation. Something that I wanted to point out was gold futures, right? Gold futures, I know we're bouncing around a lot, so try to stick with me, but this is what we drew up for gold futures down when we were making this reaction up. We were like, well, you'd like to take out this high, you'd like to curl down and then curl back up into positive territory. We almost got it. We're a little bit deeper, but that's okay. The 4-hour chart needs to curl up here. It looks like we have confirmation on the RSI and price action as far as the chart goes, but we need to see continued positivity. But if gold goes up, Do you think the market is really going to like that? The funny part about gold going up is the dollar is trying to go up at the same time. So we'll see what's able to happen here. You do have reversal signals that have confirmed for volatility. So I would assume that higher volatility is to come over the next week or so, unless we're able to completely contradict and turn down, right? We trade like water around here. If you really look at this from these type of scale, you can really see how the volatility of volatility is curling up. We have tried to confirm on the daily scale, not yet. If you like VIX 9-day, you have a potential confirmation trying maybe for tomorrow. So I'm really just trying to show all this stuff off so you know, hey, this is what you see when volatility starts to pop. Yes, we can do funky things when we try to make a top, but the risk of seeing some kind of downward move is heightened at this point. You can see us chop around for a long time, but overall, you are highly potential to see some kind of drop down into at least 593.45. Hopefully this video was able to help you in some way. I know I had to bounce around. I'm taking care of baby girl a lot lately. So I wanted to hop on here to give you guys some information, get you guys the daily expected moves, and overall just state that I, in my personal opinion, am not going to be making any kind of long plays with a triple divergence on volatility playing unless that play is on volatility itself. So it looks like the most probable situation for tomorrow is some kind of 30-minute bounce that then does reject from the daily expected move. And if something different does happen, we're able to wipe that out. We'll look for divergence. If divergence is wiped out, well, then we might be seeing some more irrational market. But at this point, I think it is heavily heightened that we are going to see some kind of daily pullback this week. Thank you guys so much for watching this video. I really do appreciate it. Thank you guys for liking, subscribing, doing all that good stuff, joining the Patreon if you want to get some cool levels and see some more information, because we put stuff out during market hours a lot of the time. But I just appreciate you guys being here, spending some time with me this afternoon, and wanting to look at some stocks with me. I do appreciate that. And I will see you first thing in the morning when we do our stock market live show. Thank you guys. Have a great day. Peace out.